Hey, there's Dr. Dave, Microdose U. Got some really cool stuff for you today. Got a few questions that have to do with dosing, chocolate, capsules, and more. And plus, I got another little story I'll weave into this if I can. So stand by. You're listening to Microdose U. I'm Dr. Dave.
You're listening to Microdose U Radio on the world's famous KMDU FM Salt Lake City.
Watch this.
Hey there, Nakama. How are you doing? So glad to have you here. I really appreciate you. We'll get right into it. I got a couple emails, basically back to back, that had something to do with dosing, and I wanted to go ahead and not only answer their questions quickly, but share them with you. And then I got something else I'll share with you. I'm actually outside walking. I hope the wind is being very kind to us, and there's not too much wind noise into my microphone. I do have a like a wind protector here, a cool little thing on the mic, so I hope it's okay. I think it's going to be. I think you're going to be fine, right? Okay, so first of all, Betty asked me a really good question. She has listened to a lot of my episodes, and I know I tell people that I really like the chocolate bars these days much better for microdosing, just for myself. I'm not recommending that to everybody because you have to be fairly experienced and know about how much to bite off. And that's why I always say for beginners and people that just don't feel super comfortable with dosing, it's better to do capsules because they're pre-measured and you know pretty much exactly what you're getting. But with chocolate bars, you bite a little bit off, you try to section a little section, and it's not going to be exact. But Betty's question takes it even a little step further. Betty asked me if the ground up powder, the ground up mushroom powder, is evenly distributed throughout the bar. Because she's concerned that she might take a little bite of something, but for some reason that area might be super concentrated with magic mushroom powder, and then maybe like another section has very little to none. So it's a really good question. I'll go ahead and do the best I can. My answer still is, for people that don't know their way around psilocybin all that well, I'd still recommend the capsules. However, I do like chocolate, so I'm going to answer this question based on what I would do. I do the chocolate, I take a bite, I know where I get it from, and I know, I feel at least from my experience with chocolate bars is that the medicine is pretty evenly distributed. The person that makes my chocolate bars, I think, goes to great lengths to, evenly distribute it and have a really quality product. Betty, I don't know where you're getting your chocolate bar from. There's so many people and I guess companies, and I don't know. I mean, depending on where you're getting it from, I can't say. I mean, hopefully the person that's making these takes the care to evenly distribute the powder through the chocolate as much as possible before, I don't know, what do? They bake it before the baking process? I guess that's what they do to harden up the chocolate. Hopefully your person does that. You might want to ask them to get some confirmation that how much care they take to evenly distributing the the magic mushroom powder. It would be a really good question for your vendor. But all things being equal, I think you're probably going to be fine. Give it a whirl and let us know how it goes. But see how much care they take, and you're let us know. You're gonna be just fine. Okay, so next question, kind of related to dosing powder or chocolate, comes from Michael. This was by Facebook Messenger, and Michael said he got a hold of 20 grams of dried powder. Good for you, Michael. Good going. And he's going to go ahead and distribute that into 500 milligram capsules. 500 milligrams of powder in each capsule. He just wanted to check the math, and he said, will that give me about 40 capsules? To which I said, yes, Michael, your math is correct. 500 milligrams times 40 capsules is going to give you 20 grams worth of, or do it backwards also, but that's going to require 20 grams worth of dried powder. One thing, Michael, I would suggest though, 500 milligrams is a lot for a microdose, and I'm sure you're experienced and you know what you're doing. It sounds like it, because if you're doing 500 milligrams, you're probably experienced. However, I would recommend not using 500 milligrams in all the capsules. If you're making your own capsules, you got the latitude to put as much or as little as you want in each capsule. So maybe if 500 is your kind of go-to default dosage, you might want to have a whole bunch there, or even a large handful that have more, maybe 250. or 200, 300, something a little less, or even 100. There might be a day look, I've got days that I just want to do a really light microdose, a really light one. And so in the neighborhood of 100 milligrams, it's always good to have that lying around. Even if you do prefer 500 milligrams almost every time, it still can't hurt to have some lighter ones lying around. Look, you can always double up and take 250s if you just never use the lower dosages. But I think it's a good idea to have some lower ones around, hanging around the house, just in case. Remember, please be safe. And whenever I talk about psilocybin, magic mushrooms, I'm asking that you please only use these in areas where it is legal or decriminalized. I want you to be safe, guys. My nakama is very important to me, and also I want you to know that this is not medical advice. This is my experience, my story, just kind of telling you what I would do. But before you take this as any kind of medical advice, I would definitely check with a healthcare practitioner. Let them know what you're doing. Be transparent, and get a thumbs up from them as well. So if you hear some wind out there, I am coming back from the float spa, sensory deprivation float spa. I did a few things differently today, which I want to share with you. If you've been a long time listener, you've heard probably a few episodes already where I talk about how I try to go float every couple weekends if possible, at the very least once a month. But I've got a float spa basically right around the corner from where I live, so I can go ahead and do a plant medicine ceremony in the morning and then walk over there and have a really good session. Notice I said walk. I will never, ever, ever drive when I do any type of plant ceremony that's more than a microdose. Microdose is fine, and I'm used to it. Been microdosing for 3 years. I know exactly what it's going to feel like, and with a microdose, I personally have total control. A larger dose, not safe to drive or operate machinery, as they say. Like I wouldn't pick up a chainsaw or anything like that when I'm doing a larger dose. I just wouldn't do that. So be careful out there, not come up. Please stay safe. I do love you all, and I want you to be around for a long time. But anyway, this session today, it's hard to explain whether it was my mindset, whether it was the actual dosage of plant medicine I did, whether it was a combination. I don't really know, but this is one of the first, and I've been doing this for several years now, and this is one of the first sessions that I can remember that I just kind of went out, and when I say went out, just started floating, and I never felt like, what time is it? Can I look at the clock? Like, is it almost over? I was very, very, very deep the entire time. And then when the music comes on at the end to let you know the hour's up, I was thinking, wow, that was really quick. I had to do a check on my iPhone clock when I got out, just to make sure music didn't start early, because it seemed really, really fast. But one thing I learned is that you can't necessarily predict the direction that the session is going to take you. Like, I went in there thinking about a particular topic that I like to go back to, and generally what I mean by that is going back to like another part of my life, or even possibly a different life of mine. Like, I go very, very deep, and sometimes I feel like I'm honestly right there in either another life or another part of my life. It doesn't feel like I'm thinking about it. It feels like I'm actually there acting it out. For sure. So that's one of the great things about floating when you're floating deep. I shouldn't say deep only in the mind, because the float tank is very, very shallow. It's just loaded with salt, so you can't sink. But it's very, very shallow, so you can't really float deep. You're floating on top of the water for sure. But like I said, I started thinking I wanted to go in a certain direction, and these plants and the float tank took me in a totally different direction that I never even thought for a second where it would be taking me. It would be taking me there. It was really enjoyable. It was a time of my life that was probably about, 15, 20 years ago. I think it was a good time. I had really, really positive feelings about this time that brought me back to it. But again, I was reenacting. I was there. I felt like I was literally right there. That's why when the music came on at the end, I'm thinking, wait a minute, do I have to go back to my present life? Well, my present life's pretty good, so I don't mind going back to my present life, but I was having some fun in my life, 20 years ago. Or, no, it's probably more like 15 years ago. Yeah, probably 15 years ago. That's where it took me to. It was a really interesting little, but how should I say this? A little interesting time where I did something that was pretty cool. And I don't have to go into detail because it could be anything. It doesn't really matter what it was. But I felt I was there again. How cool was that to go back? Now, it would have been horrible if I went back to like a really bad time of my life and I like in agony for the full hour. I mean, I guess that could happen. The plant medicine is unpredictable, and I think the float tank is unpredictable. So it could take you anywhere. But I guess because my mindset was so positive today, and I was really looking forward to this session. It's really interesting how it took me to a particular little part of my life. A small part of my life that I felt I was there. And again, I tried to guide it in another direction. I tried to take it to something else that I wanted to where I wanted to go, but it didn't take me there. But I would argue that maybe where it took me was better. So I'm usually, after I finish the float, I sometimes if a massage is available, I'll get a massage, but then I'll sit in the tea room for a good 10 to 15 minutes and soak up the aura. I'm the type of person that when I do something, especially something cool that I really want to do, I don't just show up on time. And I don't leave on time, if that's possible. I'll show up generally early, get a feel for what's going on. If it's like, let's say it's a fitness class, I'll warm up, I'll do some warm-ups and things like that. If it's a yoga class or meditation, I'll get there early and just sit on the mat and write in my journal. I always, if it's a float spot, I'll go there and sit in the tea room, drink green tea, and just contemplate the session that's going to be coming up. And then when I leave, no, look, I don't just leave right away. I sit back in the tea room. And today I think I sat back in the tea room for a good 15 to 20 minutes, drinking green tea. They had a little Asian cracker there that I ate, trying to keep my lunches super light. I'll probably eat a little something when I get home, but my weight loss journey in year 3 of microdosing has been nothing short of phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. The mushrooms are telling me exactly what to do and how to do it. And I look now, as far as weight, and some weight came off my face, and I think I look now, when I look in the mirror, I feel like I look probably at least 10, 15 years ago, which is younger than I look now. So, but it's funny when you start to get healthier and when you start to lose some extra weight, when it comes off of your face also, it really makes you it makes you feel better about looking in the mirror. Now, I've talked about weight before on some of these episodes, and it's a struggle for many, and I'm not minimizing. I'm not saying that it's easy. I'm not, because I've been there, guys. I was, like, after COVID, I think I gained probably close to 20 pounds that I should not have had. It's nothing healthy about that. I was at my ideal weight. And then kind of when COVID hit, gained about 20 over time, and now I've pretty much, I still have a little bit more to go, pretty much dropped it all. And I feel better. I mean, I feel like I can run again. My skiing is better. Blood pressure, all the stuff improves. It's funny, when you start taking weight off, all the stuff starts improving. So that's a little bit of a side tangent. But, when I'm reflecting on things such as a float that I just did, a lot of different things come to my mind too. So I don't mind little side tangents. I hope you don't either, because you're getting the real personality here. You're getting me, like we'd be sitting down on a sofa in a living room or at dinner. This is exactly my personality. I don't have like a different personality for this show. And then if you ever meet me in person, which I hope we do sometime, but if you ever meet me in person, I'm like a totally different person. I've seen people like that, and it's weird because you're expecting something, but then that something isn't really there, and you have to adapt. It's very weird. No, if you ever met me in person, again, you're going to be talking to me exactly the way I'm speaking right now. No different. And those of you that are listening that know me, you can vouch for that. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to ask you for their opinion, but you can still vouch for that for me. Okay, guys. Hey, listen, I really appreciate all of my nakama here. We are one nakama, tribe, family. I don't think there's an exact translation of the word from Japanese into English, but you kind of got the point. It's a group of people that have like-minded interests and feelings, and we feel the energy off of each other. So I really can't think of a better word than nakama. So if you are new to me, Remember, I've got, and even if you're not new, I got a bunch of links now in the show notes that you might want to see. Some brand new ones. And my Patreon page is really taking off. Some of you have asked, like, what can you do to support the show? And I've got a handful of you that have already said, okay, I'm going to go over to Patreon, support you. And, it's a little bit of a membership charge every month, and you get some extra content from me, which I thank you for. So that's helping. And a lot of other stuff I got. Show notes. Check the show notes out. You'll see everything's pretty self-explanatory there. I have a brand new episode that comes out every Wednesday and Friday, and sometimes on Mondays I'll do a little informational announcement type episode that's not really content driven, but it's just some announcements, things that are going on in Microdose U. Okay, thanks so much for being with me today. Again, Nakama, I really appreciate you for being here, and I do love you, like I say at the end of every episode, and I don't have to say that. There's nobody holding a gun to my head making me say that. I say it because I feel it. I honestly feel it. Okay, until next time, I'm Dr. Dave. It's Microdose U.